Anyways, back on the Sunless Citadel. As they were like following the Meepo, in the story itself, it said that if they follow Meepo, they, if they have like Meepo with them, the other couple they won't dare to attack at them. So the Meepo, he took them to his queen. I don't remember the queen's name. It was just some couple queen. And later on, when I read about it, she were supposed to cast a spell on him, a armor plus spell on him. Well, I got that wrong, but still, they faced the queen, and she told them everything they would need to, well, the basics of the Sunless Citadel. The thing was that there were kobolds and goblins. Kobolds, they had like this one area of the place, and the goblins had like the rest. So the guys, they didn't have to fight kobolds for too long, since next thing they had to fight that were kobolds. And she gave them a quest. The quest was that they would need to find her pet dragon. The guys were a pet dragon. Ah, pet dragon. Ah, a pet dragon. Well, they agreed on the quest. So they went back to the room where they met Meepo, and then they went northeast. That's where Meepo told them that that's where you're supposed to go. That's where the kobolds are, and crap like that. So they went in there. They arrived a narrow corridor. They went through to the north. At first they went like to the east, and then they went to the north. Then they faced an altar. There wasn't any threats in there, but yeah, there was this altar. If any one of them would have known Elvish, the altar, it had like text and crap like that. They could have read, but you know, it was really, I think it was really insignificant. They wouldn't have like learned anything out of it. But still, there was like corridor to the north and room to their left. So they went to their left. They kinda at first wanted to like explore anything they faced. They wanted to explore. So they went to the left. There was like this room with sarcophagi or coffins. Sarcophagi, coffins. I think they were coffins or sarcophagi, but still. And then there was this table. They took everything they could from the table, and then the enemies in the sarcophagi, they were like, I think they were skeletons, attacked at them. And at this point, just like from the start, how I thought that I would fight the guys, it was like, I just rolled a dice which enemy would attack and which guy. And actually, especially at first, it was like they're pretty much a savior. If you will be like a smart dungeon master, you would just attack one guy at a time. Or do something like this group attack at that guy, that group attack at that guy. But I was like rolling a die, this guy attacks at that guy attacks at that guy. so on, so on, and so on. I was playing it like Final Fantasy, where enemies attack the players randomly. Well, most of the time they attack at the weakest person, but you know, mostly randomly. So I just wanted them to attack them at randomly. Well, it was in their advantage, actually. If I would have played it smart, they wouldn't even have had a chance. If we think about it, I mean, 3 guys in a dungeon, so yeah. Well, they killed those skeletons. Actually, the cleric used like turn undead magic and stuff like that, and they killed those skeletons. They were kind of a threat for them, but not really. So once they cleared that room, they went to the north, and at that time, as I told earlier, I had a real laptop where I could read everything. I could like put the same PDF format into three different folders. Like, you know, see, in one folder I could see the map. In one folder I could read what is going on in that room. And they were doing like, well, okay. So there was this cell area. They went, I think they went into north at west at first. Once they went into that corridor, corridor led like in this prison area where they came later on. There were like lots of these dire rats and stuff like that. If I would have played completely by the rules, things that I wanted to ignore in my first campaign, there were like 2 things I wanted to ignore. One of them was a weight limit, and second of them was status effects, like poison. If I would have played by the book, those guys, they would have been like poisoned all the time, because there were so many dire rats in there. But still, they went into west. They faced some goblins in there, and as you might have guessed, they like, you know, passed through of them. There was like a couple of times when I like managed to give them a sense of danger in the game, but not really. Anyways, then they went up. There were like more goblins. There were like a crapload of goblins in Sunless Citadel. So I'm gonna skip ahead a bit. At first I thought I would like run this like room at the time, but anyways, eventually they made it into a room. There were like goblins and crap like that. They killed the goblins. One of them got really pretty seriously wounded, and they had to like rest for a bit. Originally, when they rest, the thing was that once per 24 hours, they could meet a random encounter. Well, how I made it was like, once per hour, they got like this 5% chance to face an encounter. That's how I did it. Well, not a stupid kind of thinking, but you know, I also had my own little rule, where I was like, when they backtrack, and in each room they had like the 95, well, 5% chance, 5% chance to face a random encounter. So they made way more encounters in this game than they should have. Of course, I gave them as minimum amount of experience as I could. But still, they rested in that room. They faced one fight, then they rested some more, no more fights. And they beat those goblins, they got like key that led right into the western room. Yeah, we're in the west a lot. And there was this fucking dwarf. I really hate dwarves. Anything that is under 1 meter long and is supposed to be adult, I hate them. Hate them all. But anyways, this Erky Timbers, and he was like captured in there. They freed him out, they bailed him out, and they just decided that let's go back in town. Let's go buy some items, resources, and stuff like that. And at that point, we realized that yeah, there are rations in this game. So basically, if we think about it, they shouldn't have been able to sleep freely anywhere where they liked. But at this point, we were like, okay, rations. Well, we could take those into in the game. I mean, it gets kind of too easy if they just sleep wherever they want. Anyways, they lead the Erky Timbers back in town, and at that point, our game pretty much ended. Not completely. It was that session that just ended. And after that session, we got one more member into our game. He made a monk, female monk. Okay, once he entered into this session, I asked him, okay, what's your background? What you're doing? Why did you come in here? Why did you join these guys? Well, he gave us actually quite nice story. It was like a really short story, but it was still a story. She was like trained in some monastery, and then she wanted to find a light or something, stuff like that. But anyways, that monk then joined in their party. They like dumped the Erky Timbers dwarf